Hi everybody, brand new video, and this is by request from I believe one of my, who was it the other day? I think it was the third graders that were requesting it. It's the Cat in the Hat is what they wanted to see, so that's what I'm going to draw for you guys today, and we're going to do the same kind of thing where I'm drawing the basic shapes. Okay, so we're going to draw some basic shapes on our paper, then we will refine the drawing to make it look a little bit better, make it look more like our famous Cat in the Hat guy from Dr. Seuss. Okay, I've got my paper portrait or vertical, okay, because Cat in the Hat, he's tall and skinny, right, and he's got the tall and skinny hat, so that's why we would keep our paper going up and down long ways like that, so we have a lot more space to put our cat in the hat. Okay, and I'm going to do like I do in a lot of the videos. I'm going to kind of guesstimate real super ninja light, barely touching the paper, holding the pencil way back here, okay, about where the halfway point in my paper is, and that's where his necktie is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to put a little tiny circle there. You see the size of my finger? That little tiny circle right there isn't even as big as a pea. Okay, little, all right. So he's got two of those circles. Basically, they're kind of ovalish, kind of circle-ish. You could make little ovals, pretty much like a number 8, right there in the middle of the paper. Okay, and let's just go ahead and draw his bow tie, because then that way it'll be done. Okay, curve up and out from that, curve up and out from that, but not quite as high up. Okay, so we came out from our middle of our number 8 there, and it curves around like that, curves around like that, and I'm drawing super light. I know I keep saying it over and over, but you guys, once you learn the importance of that, here I did my curve, came around and in toward the middle of the paper a little tiny bit, but then curved back out and did a kind of a fish hook thing going on there. Okay, but once you learn how important sketching lightly is to the drawing process, you will appreciate it so much once you do it a few times and you go to refine your drawing and that line just erases right off your paper and you're like, wow, thank you, Miss Fink, that was awesome, thank you for telling me that, because otherwise I would have had this really dark mark on my paper that would not have erased, and I would have been frustrated, and I would have wadded up the paper, and you know, we already learned trees give their lives for this paper that we have, so let's not waste our paper. Plus it's, you know, just being wasteful, and that's expensive. Okay, so we went out on both sides, curved around on both sides. This one's like real tall, a little bit skinny there of a point, right? Came down and out, curved back inward, curved back inward. Okay, now we're going to start up here and draw a curved line outwards until we meet that point on our bow. Okay, and then there's just a little bit of a line here and a little bit of a curved line right there. Okay, and now we can erase our little center reference line. And I cut my erasers in half. I get the long kind of erasers. I got pink ones and white ones like this. So see, I cut this one in half diagonally. It did look like that, and it was square on both ends. But I took my trusty little knifey knife. Don't do that by yourself. Have your parents do it for you, okay? I cut it in half, and that made a nice little pointed edge there for me, so I can go like this and get in there little tiny spots like that and erase, okay? Erase, erase, erase. I don't need that middle line anymore, but I drew it super light, so it's going away now, like that, okay? And I really like this shape that I drew, so I might make this just a little tiny bit darker. But of course I'm going to go over this in Sharpie, so I don't have to worry about, oh, I got to draw it a lot darker. It's going to be in Sharpie. I just want to draw a little tiny bit darker in case I get crazy with the eraser in a little while and erase too much. Okay, so the next shape is going to be basically just like a rectangle or a cylinder. What we call a cylinder is a rounded, like a pipe kind of a shape. That's his neck there, and then his head is kind of like this oval-y shape. Dr. Seuss drawings from back in the day, these have been around way back, starting way back when I was a kid. They were always so interesting to me because they were so different than everybody else's. Alright, and we're going to draw another super light oval on the side of that, okay? And I will explain that in a little bit, but before we go there, we're going to make a curved line across the top of our oval like that. We're going to chop it off right there with a curved line, and then we're going to make two curved lines, one coming from that point there where this curved line meets the oval, comes up like that, and we're going to make another curved line that comes up like that, but then has a big kind of a curved line like that coming off the top of it, okay? And then it comes kind of round like that, and then around again, maybe a little bit wider over here, just a tiny bit out from that line. See that little tiny bit of space in between there? Alright, so I've got the outline, basic shape of his hat, his head, that's his nose, is this shape, this part of his face comes down like that, it goes out like that, and then he has those bottom lip, which is a little curved kind of a line there, and then his chin comes down like that, and then another little line here like that. So it's kind of like a Y, but it's turned way on its side, almost upside down, and then this line goes down like that. And then the back of his head, there's actually a cool little kitty ear that pops up like that. So we need to get rid of that line that runs through it. Okay, kitty ear. And the hat goes behind his ear, and a curved line like that. And then this comes out a little bit, not too much, There's kind of a zigzag, like 1, 2, 3, just a little bit of zigzagginess there, and then down to the neck and down to the tie. Okay, then we can really erase the bottom of our oval there, because there's not really a bottom of his face showing like that. Okay, we can also erase this part of this oval in the middle and all those little light lines that went along with it. Okay, and then we make another line on the top of that, another line on the top of this, and that really isn't that long sticking out there. It doesn't stick out as far as his nose part as like this top lip right there, but it only comes down about this far and then goes back around like that. Okay, it's the brim of his hat. And then it goes out here, out a little bit, back in a little bit, and then this kind of puffs out a little bit like that. Okay, and this isn't really this pointy up here. It's kind of rounded like that. Okay, then we can erase the top of his head, because that's not showing through the hat. The hat is on top of his head, so the hat is what shows there. We've got a little bit of a wrinkle here going on because the hat is kind of scrunched. That front part is scrunched just a little bit. Okay, there's a little line there, and this kind of bunches out a little bit here and comes down, and then we got the rest of it doing that kind of thing. Line kind of leaning forward. Alright, and then let's do the inside part of his ear like that. Okay, and it's just like some pencil lines going across, and it's done. That's all there is to that. Okay, so we got the basic shape. Really good start on our face and head, the hat, the bow tie. We're even going to draw the body. Alright, that is actually pretty easy. If you just kind of start at the neck and draw just like an oval kind of a shape like this, or like a triangular-ish shape. Okay, there's one more part of his tie that comes down like this and curves out. It comes down from here really close together up here at the top, but then it comes down like this and curves out. Okay, so you got these two lines going apart, 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 farther apart, and then we curve around just exactly like we did on these two right here. Okay, this one's a little bit longer like that, little bit, not much, but then there's this little tiny curve right there in the middle. Okay, now you're really done with the bow tie. Okay, and this is a little bit of a zigzaggy kind of line that curves in just a tiny bit on the end right there, tiny bit, but then it goes back out again, kinda zigzaggy just a little bit. It represents his fur. Okay, around, and then up like that, up toward the middle of his body. Okay, and then starting right about here where this line went in. Just go in just a tiny bit, and this line doesn't have to be straight at all, just kind of jaggedish like that, and kind of darker. And then we're going to draw a little bit of a line on the bottom of that, and a little bit of line just going across like an upside down T. Okay, and then a little bit more ziggy-zaggy kind of rough line there, and that's it for that side. Okay, we can erase our little reference triangle that we drew. Alright, and then this side's gonna just come down a little ways, just a little past the tie. Okay, right about where you've got this line here, across here, we're going to erase this big chunk of our reference line. Okay, that's where these two hands, you know how he has his hands, sorry about the yellow paint and the white paint and the blue paint, we were painting a little bit today. His hands his fingers interlock or interlace like that, and his thumbs, it's hard to do on camera because it's backwards, but his thumbs stick up. They're facing each other, but boop, they stick up like that, but they're pointing outward like that. Okay, that's what's going on right here, and that's going to be a little bit complicated to draw, so we're going to leave that for a little bit. We're going to make that part 2. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is we're going to finish up the hat and the face. Then on part 2 we'll do his hands, which are hard, and you can always stop your drawing right there, right across here. Okay, if you want to, you don't have to draw the hands, you can just draw that much, right? So you can ignore part 2 if you just want to draw from here up. Okay, so let's do the stripes on the hat. That's really easy, right? But this is a cylinder. Okay, CYLINDER. A cylinder is also a tube, or it could be a jar, like this paint bottle here. This is a cylinder. It's round, it's got height, okay, and it can hold liquid, of course, but a cylinder can be a tube. It can be open on both ends and just be like a pipe, right? That's a cylinder shape. Okay, I've got, here's another cylinder. Okay, rounded, tall, a little bit skinnier, right? So we've got lots and lots of cylinders in our world around us. Here's another cylinder. It's printing ink, but this jar itself is a cylinder. Okay, it's rounded, but it's got height, and it can hold volume. Okay, this hat is a cylinder, so that means it's rounded, right? If we put our stripes on here and we put the stripes straight across, so if we used our trusty ruler and made a line straight across, excuse me, we are actually messing up our drawing a little bit, because we need, for a rounded shape, we need a curved line to make it look more realistic. Okay, and the Cat in the Hat, that first stripe is red, and then he's got another stripe up here, rounded, curved line. Okay, curved line like that. So he's got red stripe, red stripe, a white stripe, and then the top is red. But this, since this is scrunched down here, this part of the stripe is actually going to be thinner than the back portion or part of the hat, right? Erase those little lines that I did not want. I wanted the hat a little bit wider back there, okay? And if you want, if it'll help you when you're doing your drawing and you're looking at your reference drawing, or wherever it comes from, if it's the cover of the Cat in the Hat book or something you found online, and you're like, okay, I got to remember this. You can always do like a little notes on the side: red, white, red, white, red. See, like that. You can do something like that to make sure you remember. Or if you really want to get, kind of into it, you can color just a little tiny bit. Red, red, red. I know these 3 stripes are supposed to be red. I don't have time to color it right now because I'm drawing, but I want to get it right. I want to remember that and make sure it's right, okay, for when I do go to color it. All right. So, the Cat in the Hat face, that part is it's not complicated, but it's one of those things where he's been around for so long that you really need to get it right if you want your drawing to be effective, okay? One of the main things is he's got this little, I'm going to erase right in the middle of the brim of my hat. He's got these 2 little lines sticking up. They're barely curved, and these are like little accent lines for his eyebrow, which is just a curved line like that. Actually, it had a little bit more curve to it, like that, okay? And then the top of his head comes over here like this and comes around and curves down into his, that's like his, like I said before, his top lip, right? His other eyebrow is kinda down there a little bit. They're not even, okay? And there's also a little tiny bit of a, it's hard to see on camera, little tiny bit of a, you guys see that? Too much shiny. I don't know what's happening. Pick the paper up. There we go. See that little teensy line right there? That little teensy line, okay? Then his eyes are kind of close together, and they're drawn very differently than most every other cartoon character I've ever seen, okay? There's like a backwards C, and then this line that makes an oval, and then it's kind of like you draw a V, but then kind of fill in the middle and leave a little bit of that edge sticking up just a tiny bit. It's kind of hard to explain there, but that's the way it's drawn. And then this side, a regular front ways C, okay, but it comes round and hooks to the top, but you've got that little teensy bit of a line sticking out there, okay, and you've got that another little kind of a V shape like that, and you got his nose. There's a little curved line like that. I still wonder if that's too much. There we go, that's a little bit better. A little curved line like that, and a little tiny, like a V coming down there. But then the left side of it has is a little bit filled in. It's hard to see too. A little bit filled in. See that? Little tiny bit. And then there's the tiniest little line. See that? Coming down from the bottom of the nose. Okay? Then, where we've got our face curving around here, we keep going around, around, around. It goes up, up, up to right about there. And then this is one of the coolest lines. I think it's got a curve there down to the smile line, but then it switches directions like that. You see how it goes down, out, down, almost like a backwards kind of an S shape. Okay, and he's got a couple dots over here, and he's got whisker. This one needs to be a little bit longer, like that. He's got 2 more whiskers coming out of this side of his face, but first he's got a little bit of a line like that, where his face is wrinkled up from smiling, his cute little smile. Okay, but right from that line, he's got whisker pointing down, and then whisker pointing down like that. Okay, and you can practice those by holding your pencil on the paper, and then you're pushing off real quick like that, but you're lifting your pencil up at the same time. So if you're looking at the pencil sideways, and say this is your paper laying on the desk. Okay, here's the desk underneath your paper. Alright, you would put your pencil on the paper like this, and when you draw your whisker, you draw it, but you go whoosh, and literally lift your pencil up off of the paper as you draw that line. So I'm going here, but as I'm getting down to here, I'm going and I'm lifting up like that. Okay, because if you stay on the paper, there's your line. Your line looks the same on this end as it does on this end, doesn't it? Line. Yay. There's a line. Okay, but if you want to draw a whisker, you want it to look solid, nice and thick on that end, good solid line, but as it gets down here, what happens? It kind of fades away. See, it's got that smaller point to it, right? Because I started here and I drew my line, but by the time I got to where I wanted the end of it to be, I already started lifting the pencil off the paper right about here. So I drew. This is in slow motion. It goes, I'm like, uh-oh, getting towards the end. I gotta lift my pencil off. So it's gonna make this much slighter and thinner end to the line when you make that motion, and you go whoosh, and twist your hand and lift that pencil off the paper. Okay, I hope I explained that good enough to where you're not saying, Miss Fink, what are you talking about? Okay, let's finish up this top half, and then I'll come back with more confusing stuff in part 2. Okay, so let's do a couple of 3 lines back here behind his little hat, couple 3 lines here up underneath. Okay, and we're gonna do a few lines here, couple lines here. You see what I'm doing? I'm kind of filling in where he's got these, they're just little like shadow kind of marks, or marks to make it look like this is like a rough kind of looking material, okay? But it's also shading because he's got some lines here on the side of his face that keep going down, down, down. Don't go past his curvy smiley line there, okay? But keep making these are like little hash marks, okay? Or hatch marks. Some people call this like cross hatching, but it's not really cross hatching. Cross hatching is when you make some lines like that, but then you go across, like that. These are just little like hash marks, little shading marks, okay, that provide that darkened side of his body, okay? Same thing down here. Just some lines like that. Very few over here, not a lot. Okay. His tie, of course, is red. Stripes are red. We've already denoted that. Okay. He's got a couple little dots, little like whiskery looking dots here. Okay. And that's the whole top half of his body there. If you want, like I said, this is that's a UV pencil. I don't even know. That's one of the freebies they'll send us at the beginning of school. They're actually pretty decent little pencils, but I want to use one that says red. Make sure it says red for me. And see, even when you color in colored pencil, which I'm going to go over this in Sharpie like I said, but I just wanted to show you something. When you color in colored pencil, your pencil lines are still going to show up, okay? So you can do the coloring part first if you want to, and then go back over with Sharpie. I'm probably going to do Sharpie and then go over with colored pencil, okay? Thank you so much. It's been almost 33 minutes. I know you're tired of listening. Come back for part 2 if you want to draw the bottom half of Dr. Seuss. Until then, thank you so much, guys. Have a great afternoon, evening, weekend, whatever it is for you. I appreciate you drawing along with me, okay? Thanks so much, and talk to you soon.